Hello everyone, I'm back with a 2-week review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I've had this phone since launch and I wanted to go ahead and give you my thoughts a couple weeks later. It's a couple days late just because I was uploading some other videos. I just want to get a couple things out of the way. The overheating issue has not been an issue for me. It wasn't an issue before the update and it isn't an issue after the update. And apparently many people are saying it's resolved with the update. It does get hot sometimes if you play for a long period of time, like a video game, or if you use the camera for a long period of time, but it's not, I wouldn't say hot, I would say warm, more likely. So that hasn't been an issue. Build quality, I've had no issues with it. You know, it's not shattered. My back is still in place. There's no issues with it. I've dropped the phone a couple of times and with the case on, and even once without the case, I don't have any issues with it. Again, I think, some of this hype train stuff is a little bit overplayed. The build quality is fine. I haven't had any problems with it. I don't have any issues with my speakers or rattling or camera or anything like that. The battery life is amazing. It's off the charts. I easily get 10, 11 hours of screen on time. It'll last 2, 3 days. It will also, I've even hit 13 hours when I was just on Wi-Fi and I stood home one day. I stayed home and it was, I was on Wi-Fi the whole time and it was over 13 hours of screen on time. I just let it run because I was trying to test the battery out. And I did that test again and, it's just amazing. The sound is really amazing. The speakers are great. The camera is awesome. The video is awesome. So these are real, basic kind of things. The screen brightness, the screen itself is really good. It's vibrant, it's vivid, it's really beautiful. I don't have any issues with it at all. In terms of like quality, it's just as good as, I don't know if it's quite as good as a Samsung screen necessarily, like on the S23 Ultra or on the S23 Ultra in particular. But it's good. It's good enough. I mean, it's really nice quality screen, and you don't have any issues with that at all. The screen brightness is even eye piercing at times. I have to turn it down when I'm indoors because it's so bright. I mean, it just gets really, really bright. I don't, especially at night, if I forget to turn the screen brightness down, it's just, it's pretty amazing, right? Let's see, the other, I think the things that kind of think as far as like, let me go ahead and put the do not disturb on here. 1 second. The thing that I see as somewhat, I don't know, maybe not the best, is that the dynamic island, I find it pretty useless. I don't really use it that much. My action button, I do like it on my watch, on the Ultra. I just go ahead and hit the workout thing and that's nice, which I guess is the default for it. But this I just use for, like flashlight. I don't use it for anything else. I don't, my camera is pretty accessible. You can access the camera from the home screen. You can click the app. I think the action button is kind of gimmicky, to be honest with you. But hey, if you use it, if there's something that it's your go-to, like all the time, you're always on your phone taking a picture and you want it to go straight to the camera, the good thing about it is it's like very specific for one's use case scenario. So, I mean, I guess in that way, it's useful, right? But for me personally, I can access the apps. It's not a big deal. The camera app is on the front. It's on the screen. It's on the lock screen. It's here it's on the app. It's on the lock screen. I mean, I don't need another one right here. I have it accessible everywhere else. But if you want something specific, like you want to contact a certain person, like a significant other or whatever it is, I think that's where the customizability of it is nice. So that's pretty cool. Now, with respect to that, though, the customization, this thing is hardware wise, it's amazing. Okay. It's better than mostly any other phone out there in terms of hardware, as build quality, camera, video. I mean, there are certain phones that, you can argue, oh, well, does the Pixel take better pictures? I mean, that's an arguable point, right? I don't think anyone takes better video. Is a Samsung screen on the S23 Ultra nicer? Yeah, probably. I think that's a good point. Do I like the pill box, this dynamic island thing, or do I like the little circle? I prefer the small, circle so I don't get, this in the way. of the screen that, when I'm watching a video. So, things like that. But pound for pound, in terms of like overall usage and for everyday users, this works. But for me personally, the limitation is the software. So the notifications still suck. Like, where's the notifications? You got to swipe down. I just don't feel like they're as accessible, in the sense that they're kind of hidden. Like, I mean, you can keep them on the screen or whatever, but I just feel like they kind of pop up and they go away, and then you kind of forget about them. The widgets, yeah, you can have a few widgets here and there, but it doesn't seem like it's it just they don't kind, they're not in your face in the way that, I don't know how to explain it, in the way that an Android phone is. Excuse my other phone there. Speaking of which, then the side widget thing, like the side widget action, like I don't need a widget on the side. Like, it's nice to sleep over on the Android phone and you have like the news stories or something that isn't quite as useful, or something that you would use as much. So I don't really find that useful. I just usually put the battery widgets, like the battery widget on there, to see what my battery health is on various devices. Other than that, I don't use the side screen very much at all. The app management is also poor. I mean, you can't move anything around. I can't have only, I would like to have a few apps here maybe, and then like a large, I'm sorry, I'd like to like move my apps wherever I want, and then have more customizability. I don't want to be forced to have apps in spaces that I don't want to have apps in. I'd like to have it open and then use only a few apps, and then maybe have other apps somewhere else. And I can see like a picture of my kid or something, or a nice picture that I want to see. I'll be reminded of my son all the time, something like that, right? So, I mean, I guess I could put him behind all these apps, but I can't really see him. So, that kind of thing. The customizability, I think, is still, it would be nice. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal for Apple. And I get they have their walled garden and they have the ecosystem and they want to kind of hold you down a little bit. That's understandable. It's it's kind of like their whole deal. And one can make the argument that, well, yeah, if they have control over the whole ecosystem, as much as people don't like it, everything works, right, together and relatively seamlessly. But you have, there's a cost for that. But I don't think it's a big deal to be able to at least move your apps around. I mean, that doesn't, or to place them like in your own categories. So like, you go to the app drawer and you're like, you have pre-existing categories. Like, okay, I appreciate the categories, but can I make my own and call them what I want to call them and place them in their own area? I guess I could do that if I were to like, squeeze them all down into one little app finder here, but I don't really. I just wish it was more customizable. And then again, not over the top, because I'm not going to sit on my phone all day playing with it, trying to customize every single app. I don't have time for all that. But it would be nice to have some customizability. So in that sense, I think that's kind of the one. My critiques more of the iPhone is more software based than hardware based, because I think the hardware is pretty outstanding. And so that's that. Now, who is this phone for, and should you get this phone? Absolutely. If you are if you're in a place where it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. I know in some countries, these phones are ridiculously overpriced and they're very expensive for whatever reason. But if you're someone who's like a basic user, if you want something, and this is where the iPhone shines, like, you can't argue at this point. It's great with camera, right? That's what people want. They want great video. They want to take pictures of their kids, their pets, kind of chronicle their goings on in life. It has great camera, great video camera. It has outstanding battery life. So if if I have, if I have my wife or my girlfriend or whoever it is that's my significant other, and I'm concerned about them, like, I want them to have this phone. Like, I want, and obviously a kid, this might be a little bit expensive phone for a child, but if I have, maybe a kid in college, and I'm kind of wanting to make sure that they have the best battery life they could possibly have just in case of an emergency. And I don't want to think all paranoid, but you know, it's a great phone. Like, I don't think there's any other phone out there that can match this in terms of battery life. Maybe the S23 Ultra, but I'm seeing better times with this than I did when I had the S23 Ultra. So, and not to say that that phone was a slouch, because it's outstanding. But sometimes folks don't charge their phone for 2, 3 days, and And this is pretty amazing in that regard. So, if I'm thinking about that, then I would definitely want this in someone's hands. It's great for content consumption. The screen and the speakers are outstanding. They're the best speakers on any smartphone that I've experienced. And I would even put it up against the Z Fold 5. It just sounds nicer. Not that the Z Fold 5 is a slouch, because it's not at all. It's great. But this is even better, in my opinion. And it's louder. It's really, really nice. So, there's that. And then there's the Apple Watch integration, right? You have the Apple ecosystem. As much as one could complain about the software, you could say, well, the other portion of the software aspect of it is the integration with other Apple devices. And, the computer, the iPad, if you have it, the watch, all of them can work together. Now, I don't find it to be as seamless as possible. I think iCloud is very clunky. Like, sometimes I have it on something and then I need to figure out where it is somewhere else, or why hasn't it shown up on my computer? Why do I have to airdrop it? If I have iCloud, it should just be there, right? But it takes some time. Oftentimes, it's pretty slow. The AirPods, I think, are crappy in terms of like moving from one device to the other. Sometimes they randomly move, and I don't want them to. When I'm multitasking. So that's especially between my computer. I don't have an iPad anymore, but between my computer and my phone, I don't need my AirPods jumping around if I didn't ask them to, basically, right? So I have to turn off the Bluetooth on one. So, it's got its pros and cons, right? So, in terms of that aspect of it, it's positive and it's negative. But the ecosystem overall is solid. It's really good. It's probably the best out there, I would say. Android's trying to catch up with Office integration, Microsoft integration. And then, obviously the Google Pixel will have the watch, the Samsung has the watch, but, Samsung's computers are not, I don't really find them very good. And, it's just the whole thing kind of works together. So if you have Apple stuff, obviously this phone will work for you. But I could also see the logic in having an Android phone with other Apple devices, because, you might not I don't want my iMessages popping up on my laptop in the middle of work. I have them on my watch, I have them on my phone. I don't need them on my computer too. So, it depends. It depends what whatever works for you. But the software itself, it's limiting. iOS is limiting. I find it too limiting, but it's also good in many ways with the ecosystem and what have you. And of course, there's iMessage. Now, I know iMessage is not a big deal in many countries when people use WhatsApp. Personally, I'm not trying to give Mark Zuckerberg all my text messages, okay? And they could say anything they want about encryption and what have you. I don't trust it. And a lot of people in the United States don't trust, social media, especially like, WhatsApp and things like that. They prefer the iMessage. Apple has more of a reputation for being, I guess, more respectful of privacy. And that might be an American thing, a US thing, I don't know, but there's that, right? So anyway, just want to put that out there. So a lot of people gravitate towards the iPhone because of iMessage. But yeah, so there's that. Anyway, so that's that. I just repeated myself. 2 weeks in, this is a great phone. It is not going to be the tech nerds ultimate device. This is basics, right? This is about getting the basic things done. Camera, video camera, content consumption, battery life, iMessage, the ability to share, your information. So that's what this is about. And if that's what's cool for you, and that's what's cool for most people, because people aren't watching this channel or these tech channels, everyday people, don't watch them. So this thing works, and that's, why it sells like hotcakes. All right, well, that's all I got. Hope you're well. I hope your family's well. And that's my 2 weeks with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, take care.